Syracuse Orange fans, can you feel the heat?
Welcome in, Cuse Nation, to yet another edition of Orange Heat. My name's Giovanni Heater, as always, and thank you for joining me. I hope everybody out there is having a fabulous holiday season. I know I am. And let's dive into some Syracuse athletics action right here. Today, we're going to have an all-basketball episode. Following this, we're going to have a Camping World Bowl preview for the football team, but I felt like that deserves its entire own episode. And today, we're talking all basketball because, as we all know, there's a lot to discuss there. So I do want to blow through the Buffalo game and just get right to the good stuff because there's so much negativity out there on social media and everything about this team. And let's be their cheerleaders. Let's get right into the good stuff. So, blowing through the Buffalo game, Syracuse fell to the University of Buffalo last Tuesday night, 71-59. It was a tough loss. This was a game where we started very, very good. And there was a lot of signs that this could be our breakout type game. We could be coming into our own, so to speak, a little bit. And then it just kind of crumpled apart in the second half. And it was very similar to the Old Dominion game in that sense. Elijah Hughes did lead scoring with only 16 points. Our leading scorer, 16 points. So that really shows when you're only putting up 59 points on the board. There's other teams in the ACC putting up a lot more points than that. So that was a little bit of cause for concern. O'Shea Brissett tallied up 10 points. Tyus Battle with 11. Neither of them really could find their stroke all night. Frank Howard, on the other hand, did have his best game thus far since returning from the injury. He finished off with 13 points, and he went 3 for 5 from three-point range. So not a bad performance out of Frank Howard, his best thus far. Let's hope that he can continue to find that rhythm. Pascal Chukwu struggled, only 2 points and 3 rebounds. Got to have more rebounds out of him. I'm going to talk about it more in depth later, but his biggest game is going to be blocking shots defensively on the inside and rebounding the basketball. We need him to produce there. 3 rebounds just isn't enough for me. Jalen Carey only played 10 minutes in this ball game, ended up tallying up 4 total points. Frank clearly having a little bit of a better game, seeing a little bit more playing time on the court. So that was a direct correlation there. As a team, Syracuse only shot 27.3% from three-point land. And it started to look like earlier on in the season when they struggled from three. They started to find their stroke towards the midway mark after that Ohio State win on the road. But it really looked like towards the beginning of the season, just 27% from three-point arc, 42% as a total from the field, so not bad there. Here was my biggest cause for concern, though, out of the entire basketball game against UB, was the fact that we only went 38% from the free throw line. 38% is really, really poor shooting from the free throw line, considering that is what can lose and win a game sometimes. If we make all those free throws, even missing, 3 free throws, 4 free throws, you're talking about a game where you're only down by like 3 with the clock expiring towards the end of the game, instead of the situation where you're trying to claw yourself back down by 6, then down by 7, and that lead just grew. But we could have been a lot more in that game had we made some free throws. And the free throws, 38% from the free throw line is god awful. I have to say, guys, there's not much else to say about that. I try to look for positivity in that, but there's not. I don't know if they need to work on it in practice or what they need to do, but we gotta shoot. They have to shoot better than 38% chance from the free throw line. We were also out-rebounded in this ball game, 48-35 on the boards. Buffalo took that one home by a big margin. But I don't want to take too much away from this Buffalo team. Buffalo is a very, very good basketball team. They're clearly an NCAA tournament quality team. CJ Massenberg, I think he's a possible draft pick. He dropped 25 points on us in this ball game, so he clearly played very, very well. I think looking at the quadrants for the NCAA tournament, Buffalo's probably a quadrant 2 team. They could slip into quadrant 3. I mean, if they go undefeated or something, you're looking at a quadrant 1 team. But I think they're a solid quadrant 2 team, no doubt in my mind. They're a very good basketball team. They ended up dropping their next game, just a little extra bit of information, 103 to 85 to a ranked Marquette basketball team. So they felt a little bit of a lapse from the beginning of this Syracuse game, and it carried over to that Marquette game in which they ended up dropping their first loss of the season. Buffalo currently stands at 11-1, so they're a very, very good team. I think it's really time to start looking at our basketball team, Syracuse, with a possibility of a little bit of a reality check here. And what I mean by that is basically what Jim Boeheim said, and I'm going to take his quote and I'm going to say it right here. People predicted our basketball team based on the fact that we put on a little bit of a run and we finished off the season in the Sweet 16. And they based it off the fact that you take those Sweet 16 guys and you return all 5 starters to this year. So they didn't really, base our prediction off of our entire season. They based it on the fact that we were in the Sweet 16 and we're returning our 5 starters, which is great, but basketball is a game of runs, and we went on a run. And I'm not trying to take anything away from last season's team, but this is a different basketball team. We have new players on the court, different chemistries, different ways things play out. So this is a completely different year, and we were almost a little bit overrated going into the season, I think, because it's been disappointing thus far. We keep saying that, they'll be fine and they're going to figure it out, which I hope they do, and I think they will. But it's time to start figuring it out, because you can say that all the way till March, and the season goes by that quick. By that point, it's already over. All right, four losses in the non-conference is tough. Now you just put a lot more pressure on your ACC schedule, which is going to be very, very tough. Very, very tough in the ACC. So there's more pressure in there. You don't have as much wiggle room with losses there. You need to win a few big games now. You need to cushion. I know last season we ended up losing 14 basketball games, and we got into the NCAA tournament. So there's still hope, but we don't want to be a bubble team this year. In order to live up to the expectation, we can't be a bubble team, and we need to start producing winning basketball game, doing the little things better to become a better basketball team. That's what Syracuse needs to do. Now, we played Arkansas State on Saturday. Syracuse won that game by a big 30 points. Final score was 82-52. That game started really, really slow. And that's like every Syracuse basketball game. Syracuse always starts very slow. They trailed by 11 early on in the basketball game, which is really, really astonishing to me. And then Syracuse led by just 2 points at halftime. Jim Boeheim was able to make some really, really big halftime adjustments defensively, which was huge. Syracuse only allowed 16 points in the second half. That's incredible. 16 points in the second half. My biggest takeaway from this basketball season could be the fact that when we played Arkansas State, we only allowed 16 points in the second half. Not only did that allow for a big comeback, but that allowed for just everything. That's huge. That proves that we are one of the best defensive teams out there, and that when we score the basketball, we're a deadly basketball. And talking about scoring the basketball, we put on a scoring show offensively in the second half. We really were able to spread the ball around. Elijah Hughes and Tyus Battle led the team, each with 17 points apiece. O'Shea Brissett followed up with 15 points and 9 rebounds, nearly a double-double. You got to think, he was a double-double machine last season. So that's good production out of O'Shea Brissett right there. Buddy Boeheim got some action coming off the bench with 8 points in 18 minutes. He hit a big three to get some momentum going on. So Buddy Boeheim in the previous game against Buffalo didn't see any action. Didn't see any action against Old Dominion. So it was nice to see him come in, play a full 18 minutes, and really get some good production going on in this basketball game. Pascal Chukwu really, really impressed me. He really found his rhythm in this game, I think. As I said, I don't expect Pascal Chukwu to be a scoring machine. That's just not him. We haven't seen it out of him the last 2 or 3 years, and that's just not his basketball game. It's not his body type. He's a little bit loose. He's a little bit not really able to find his way that much. He's really developed some nice hands. He's catching the ball a lot better, but he's not going to be that scoring machine. That's just not his play. But this is what we need out of him. I expect him to rebound the ball well, and I expect him to block shots inside with that 7'2" frame, and he did just that in this basketball game, and that's the first game where he did it very consistently and very well. He ended off with 13 rebounds, huge considering the last ball game he only had 3 rebounds. So 13 rebounds and 2 blocks, and he also put up 4 points on the board. That's perfect. That's the game I want out of Pascal Chukwu every single week. That's what I expect, and that was a great game out of Pascal there. And Barama Sidibe coming in a little bit, played good on the inside as well. So there you can see practice is starting to pay off there a little bit. This game was just fun to watch in the second half. This was the first time all year that this basketball team looked like they were having fun out there. And that's what this sport's all about. And when we play our best basketball, you can tell the players out there, Tyus Battle, Pascal, Frank, Merrick, Hughes, Brissett, every single one of them, Boeheim, Carey. The best basketball is going to be played in any sport. The best is going to be played when you're having fun, because that's what it's all about. It's a form of entertainment when you look at it at the end of the day. And they played really well because they were having fun out there. They just looked comfortable. They looked like they were in their own. They looked like they were playing backyard basketball. They were putting up big dunks. They had some goofy celebrations with each other. They were laughing. They were smiling, and that's what it all comes down to at the end of the day. They were out there and they were having fun, and that is why we won this basketball game. Another thing I wanted to mention too is our free throw increased dramatically in this game. You got 38% in the previous game against Buffalo, and that's a big reason as to why we lost that game so badly. Well, in this game, it improved to about 81%, and we went 27 for 33 from the charity stripe. So really, really good production out of them. Boeheim must have had them shoot a ton over practice over the course of the week. He must have, because they played really well from the free throw line in this game, and that was huge. I know that Arkansas State is considered a cupcake game, which is understandable, and we have a few of those on our schedule. Looking at a Cornell or looking at Old Dominion kind of was supposed to be sort of a cupcake. Looking at some teams we played earlier on, this is a cupcake game. They came into this game 4-8, something like that. But the thing about this is a confidence builder, and sometimes you need a cupcake game to build that confidence. Pascal, after the game he just had, hopefully he'll be able to produce on the inside more. Frank Howard, all of them being able to really find their own and have fun. I hope this is what they need. This could be a little bit of a spark right here. That's what the cupcake games are for, is for confidence builders and nice little easy wins on your resume, and we certainly got one of those. We showed up. The biggest thing about a cupcake game is you need to show up. You need to prove that you're the dominant team, and we did just that, scoring more than 80 points and, winning this game by a margin of 30. That's absolutely huge. Syracuse isn't a team that's going to drop. I don't think they're ever going to drop 100 points in a game. Clearly, Syracuse is a defensive basketball team, and they have longer possessions. They chew out the shot clock, both offensively and defensively. So you're never going to see them stroke up 100 points in a game. It's not going to happen. But to crisp off that 80-point mark, that's big. That's a high-scoring game for Syracuse, and I like that a lot. That shows production right there. So looking ahead, Syracuse is going to be playing St. Bonaventure Saturday at 2 p.m. on ESPNU. So we'll dive into a little bit of a preview on that right now. St. Bonaventure is a team that upset us early on last year, but it was late in the non-conference. That was a game that went into overtime, and St. Bonaventure just plain and simple beat us out. That's exactly what happened. But St. Bonaventure, in my opinion, is not the same team. A lot of players transferred, a lot of them graduated, but a few transferred, and they're currently sitting at 4-8, the Bonnies. They're a very similar team to us on paper, really. They're a defensively based team. They're averaging about 69 points per game. That's compared to our 70. they're allowing a few more points than us, so they're not as defensively sound. 66.3 to be exact, compared to our 62.6 points a game defensively. They're shooting it a little bit better than us, I will say that, with 44% from the field. St. Bonaventure's a team, they've lost 3 games in a row now. They're really not in any kind of rhythm whatsoever. They're not really playing for much at this point because of their poor non-conference thus far. It's early on. We'll see what happens with them. But all in all, this should be a fairly easy win. Nothing is guaranteed with this Syracuse basketball team, but this should be a fairly easy win. They got a good guard, Jalen Poyser. He's averaging 14 points a game, and he's shooting 40% from the field, so he's pretty good. Another good guard they have, Kyle Lofton. He's playing really nice basketball, leading their team in assists, so they're able to move the ball around well. But this is just a team that we should plain and simple beat. This is arguably a cupcake. I know they're a rival, kind of, and we play them every year, and they beat us last year, but they're just not a very good basketball squad so far this season, and this is a game we need to win. This is our last non-conference matchup, so let's finish strong in the non-conference with a 2-game winning streak. Going forward, I believe that Syracuse needs to do this. Rebound the ball better. It all comes down to hustle and heart. You got to want that basketball. We need to rebound the basketball better. They need to shoot well from the free throw line. Got it? They did it last game. They didn't do it so well in some previous games. So we need to shoot well from the charity stripe. Those are freebies. I don't know what they need to do, but they got to figure that out. They need to take smarter shots, less three-pointers. Get the ball inside. That's where a player like O'Shea Brissett plays well. Elijah Hughes, Frank Howard, Tyus Battle, they've proved that they all can drive the ball to the inside, so get the ball there. Do it. Let's see it. I also want to see some more Jalen Carey. I know Frank played well in that game against Buffalo, but I want to see more Jalen Carey. I want to see more than 10 minutes. I think he's a huge asset to this basketball team. He's a weapon. He's quick. He plays phenomenal defense. That's the strongest part of his game, is his defensive play. I want to see some more Jalen Carey. He also proved that he can score, putting up 26 against UConn. We know what kind of player he is. I think offensively, Syracuse is playing a little bit too much of a one-on-one type play, and I want to see more ball spreading, more better ball movement. This is an offensive predicated off of pick and roll, predicated off of dry. It's just different than a lot of teams play. There's too much one-on-one going on, and I want to see some more everything out of them. A little bit more of everything, really. This, as I said, should be a win. I think it's going to be a win. I think we'll finish off strong. My prediction for this game, I think Syracuse will crack 80 once again. We're starting to find our own. I have Syracuse winning this one by a big margin. That's going to be 80 to about 62. So we're going to win this one by about, 18 points. So it shouldn't be really all that close if everything goes well. But I've been wrong before, and I really could be wrong again. But hopefully this game will help us out, and it'll help us get into somewhat of a groove, because our schedule is not going to ease up. And there are no cupcakes in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Looking ahead, Syracuse has to play, obviously, St. Bonaventure, and then they're going to have a week off after that. The following Saturday, we're going to open up ACC play on the road at Notre Dame. That game's going to tip off at noon. And then after that, the next 2-week stretch, you got Clemson, Georgia Tech. So Clemson's a team that was really good last year. They're returning some players. I think they're going to be good again this year. Georgia Tech, they're kind of an team. They lost some good players like Okogie. Last year they really, really struggled. We'll see what they're able to do this year. But as I said, there's no cupcakes. They're on the bottom half of the ACC, but there's no cupcakes here. And then after that, you got Duke. So the schedule doesn't ease up whatsoever. That's a big 2-week stretch right there. We're currently sitting at 8-4. Syracuse is sitting at 8-4, and there's plenty of time to turn things around and shake off all of this disappointment, shake off this low-ball non-conference record, because Syracuse is better than that. We just need to focus on what we need to do. And as a fan base, I think we need to focus up. We need to support this team, and we need to be excited because here's the ACC schedule, and it's like a brand new season. Who knows? You could go undefeated in ACC play. You could make a run in the ACC tournament. That's the beauty about college basketball, is anything is possible. This is a good basketball team. They're starting to find their own, and let's see them do it. Let's cheer them on. Need to be as excited as a fan base. So Syracuse going to take care of business against St. Bonnie's. We're going to see you back literally later on tonight. I'm going to post on another video, talk all Cuse football, talk about that Camping World Bowl. That's all I got today, guys. Add the Twitter @GeoHeater. Add the Instagram @GeoHeater. Keep liking, commenting, and subscribing. As I said, we're at about 75 subscribers. Once we hit 100, we're going to do some giveaways, and you guys are going to get some good Syracuse swag. So let's go Orange, baby. Woo!
Thank you for listening to Orange Heat, done by pursuing sports broadcaster and high school student Giovanni Heater. You can find him on Twitter and Instagram @GeoHeater. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more Syracuse athletics and Orange Heat action. Let's go Orange!